So yeah, I'm streaming. Um, Trying to get this to work. Um, so that is really weird. Anyway, I find that so highly infuriating. Um, this is probably going to look strange here in a minute. Um, I am going to be using, as you can tell, ChatGPT. Um, just, give me a minute. Mm, I should have done this beforehand. I get it. And actually, you guys aren't going to see this. And probably can't hear me typing. Uh, my camera is not in the best position to be doing this. Um, but, I did want to do this because it's been a while since I've done just a standard video. Um, where I just talked. And, I'm not sure how to do this on my own, which is why I'm prompting ChatGPT to help me out so that you guys can learn about me a little bit more. And I don't know why this, if you don't see your stream, try refreshing. No current live streams. When I'm apparently streaming here, that is so weird. So just give me a minute and I'll shift over a little bit so I can do this. Uh, so this is what I'm writing into ChatGPT. I'm sharing the name of my YouTube channel that I'm sharing with you, where I upload all my music and videos to, even my albums that I've made with the help of DistroKid. I've given it my YouTube channel name. I want you to be a bit of an interviewer, asking me questions of what some of my fans might ask me about my music, whatever can be thought of. For someone discovering your channel for the very first time, who is Benjamin Lyles and what kind of music do you make? Who am I? I am a Texan. I was born and raised here in Texas. Was born in San Antonio. We moved to Austin where my sister was born. I didn't get into music until maybe a year or two after I started programming. Um, I've always loved country music. Ever since I first heard Charlie Daniels' song, "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," he was looking for his old steel. He wasn't behind. He was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. You know, and that was the first time anybody heard a country artist even rap. Um, Charlie Daniels doing that. I mean, really and truly, country music has a broad range, and you wouldn't even think how big of a range country music is. Uh, Kenny Rogers had hits with uh, the beat from a Bee Gees tune that him and Dolly Parton did together, "Islands in the Stream." Um, so things like that. I like old school 80s and into the 90s when Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson came out with Garth Brooks as well. So, those were some of I'd say some of the bands and people that I grew up listening to. George Strait also is in that cut as well. Um, so, country music is what I love. I've also been into rock and roll. Def Leppard has inspired me. Rat, Poison. But overall, these days, with the music that I'm doing lately, it is just country. So, second question is a lot of my songs blend country with rock, pop, and sometimes even electronic dance music energy. Where did that sound come from? Okay, funny story. I absolutely adore Madison Beer. I haven't been to any of her concerts. I don't have that kind of money. Um, I'm a struggling songwriter. That's my main thing that I do. I write songs. So I get a lot of my ideas from some of the stuff that Madison Beer does. Um, like I mentioned, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Rat, Poison, Def Leppard, some Metallica's in there. You can go over to my Suno profile. It's got my name on it. If you mess with Suno, you'll find a whole lot of songs, like thousands of songs that I've written. That where did that sound come from? From people that I admire. Dove Cameron even comes to mind on that. So does Sabrina Carpenter. And I wouldn't say that these women are, I wouldn't necessarily call them my, what is the word? I wouldn't say that they're people that I have learned from. Um, it's a word meaning similar to. Um, can't think of the word off the top of my head. So the next question: do your songs usually come from personal experiences, or are they more storytelling based? Um, for the most part, my songs are from personal experience as well as from storytelling based. I like songs that are fun and make you think. Um, I'm not Jelly Roll. I'm not Luke Combs. I'm Benjamin Lyles. I'm gonna approach my music from my point of view. There's nothing. I'm not a son of a sinner, uh, so to speak. I'm not. My dad made his mistakes, um, so it's gonna just be country music from my point of view. Um, some of it's personal experiences. Um, I grew up enjoying wide open spaces. Um, there were two different sides of Austin we lived in, and I'll give you some of that background. Yes, I grew up in the city. Obviously, I'm saying Austin. I grew up in Austin, but the two parts of Austin that I grew up in, the very first one we lived in from 1976 to about 1982, 1983. I'm gonna err on the side of caution and say 1983. That side of Austin that we lived in, which is now hugely part of the urban sprawl, which is within Austin at this point, was North Shields. Back then, in between those years of 1976 to 1983, it was just this little neighborhood that you could literally walk to the convenience store uh, that wasn't very far from us within about 5 minutes. It was literally a 5 minute walk. And that gas station is still there. It is no longer a U-Totem. I think it's a Circle K at this point. Um, Man, me and my friends, we had so many times of fun in that neighborhood because the what is now an extension of the North Shields neighborhood is now part of Lamplight Village, and they the two properties butt up to each other. But back then, between 1976 to 1983, if I could get a map of that time and show you that field that me and my friends we used to just run and fly kites, play football, play baseball in. We did tons of things that were just fun, and we had a creek that ran through the property that we would just have fun in. Some of the bigger kids put crawfish into my shoes. Uh, wasn't funny to me at that time, but now that I look back on it, yeah, that probably was a little bit funny. Wasn't something I was used to. So having somebody take a crawfish and put it into my shoe. To me, that wasn't funny at the time. These days, I can look back at it and say, haha, that was kind of funny, even though it wasn't funny to me at the time. The second side of Austin that we lived in started in 1983. My dad had gotten a better job with Southwestern Bell Telecom, and um, my dad will still never understand why I say that he was responsible for me to get into programming. That's not completely true at this point. My dad was partially responsible for me getting into programming, but I wanted to originally learn how to play drums. My backup plan was wanting to learn to play guitar, and you see my guitar right kind of behind me. This is not an original guitar that I grew up with. The last guitar that I had that my parents bought me is not this guitar. I actually bought this guitar from a pawn shop. So but the second side of Austin that we lived in gave me more freedom to run around, to explore. I was all over the place. We lived in an area of Austin called, what was it? Uh, I can't remember it. It was right across the highway from Great Hills. This is the old house that it's a $1.3 million dollar house at this point. Good grief, this doesn't even look like my house anymore. Um, Go like to search. Westover Hills. Uh, Great Hills is right over in this area, um, but Westover Hills. This is Vista North right here. Well, Westover Hills is right here where it says Spicewood Springs Road. Uh, I actually could walk from my house in Westover Hills and come down here across Loop 360. There's a creek here called Bull Creek, and you could just literally walk from basically my house in Westover Hills over to Bull Creek, come back over, cut cut through High Ridge, which is still Westover Hills, and I just walked all over the place, and I was fit. I was I was lean for the longest time, um, but that's not part of this question. So, next question, which is the fourth question, you release a lot of music. What keeps you motivated to keep writing and putting songs out so consistently? Drive, drive, just personal drive. My my dad and I kind of got into it when I was younger about my ambition or my lack of ambition. My dad never really understood my fascination with music. He got it when I was older, but when I was younger, I wanted to seriously be a musician, be in bands, to learn from other songwriters. I'm in a position at this point in my life I don't have a lot of access to. Number one, I lost my car. I don't want to get into that story. It's not a happy story, but suffice it to say, I do not have access to being around other songwriters currently. So I just do a lot of listening. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of iHeartRadio, a lot of the country stations out of Austin, Case, KVET. Um, what keeps me basically motivated to keep writing and putting songs out, uh, if not daily, weekly, um, it just listening and feeling inspired by contemporaries. That's what the word I was looking for. I wouldn't say that Madison Beer, Sabrina Carpenter, Duff Cameron are contemporaries to me. I would consider Luke Bryan, Brooks and Dunn, um, Alan Jackson, and some of the more modern art country artists being contemporaries to me. Um, I adore Jelly Roll. So because of how honest and raw he is with the music that he puts out. So I would name those men that I have talked about, including Carrie Underwood and Kelly Clarkson and Reba McEntire, as contemporaries to me. And I'm trying my best to um, keep my voice going here. Is there one song on my channel that I feel best represents who I am as an artist right now, and why that song? That's difficult. I'd have to pull up my channel right now. What song represents me the best? Um, I'm gonna seriously have to look. Um, out of all the songs that I've written over the past 4 months, including up to now, I love the song "Kiss My Glass." There's just something about "Kiss My Glass" that gets to me. It's got 61 views on it. Um, but really and truly, I also like the song "Where the Memories Don't Go." Um, She's Trouble is also another good song. It's got 25 views. But as far as there any one song on my channel that best represents who I am as an artist right now, and why that song? Um, I'd have to say I know what I'm doing. It's the official audio. You guys can't see it because I've got my. Let me reduce this. I know what I'm doing. It's this song right here. Yes, I don't like Don't Get It Twisted, and also Don't Mistake My Smile, but I know what I'm doing personally because I'm just doing all I can. And if you were wondering what I was looking at there for a moment, I've got two cameras on my computer. One sits a little bit further away, looks at me kind of odd. It's not the camera I want to use. It would be the camera I would use, but with the fact that there's a camera that's a little bit closer that can see me a little bit better, it is the one that I have to actually shift over to talk to. Um, but I'd have to say my favorite right now is I Know What I'm Doing. I'm doing my best to put out relevant music that I feel does does exactly how I'm feeling at the moment, which is actually putting out pretty decent and hopeful music. Many of your songs feel hopeful even when they come from pain. Is that intentional? Actually, yes. One of the artists that I have not mentioned yet that I feel is a huge contemporary of mine is Nate Smith. I love the way he writes his songs. Ever since he wrote Wildfire, and I listened to that song up until more recent songs that he's done, like How Do You Die from, I think it's How Do You Die from a Broken Heart that he did with Avril Lavigne. Um, that's, it's a haunting song, a beautiful song. So, you know, is it intentional where my songs are hopeful even if they come from pain? Yes, it is intentional. I went through a very bad divorce, and I do use ChatGPT quite a bit. Now, a lot of my ideas are exactly my ideas. ChatGPT doesn't always get the point across that I want to get with my music. So I'll 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 ask ChatGPT for help if I get stuck. I'll sometimes I'll have a verse and get stuck on a chorus, or I'll have the chorus and I get stuck on building the bridge around the chorus. And ChatGPT does a pretty decent job. But the more that I write and use ChatGPT, the more that ChatGPT sees, okay, he's framing his songs this way. I better do the same thing. And it does a relatively good job of helping me structure my songs. So uh, the intentionality there is that songs like You Can Kiss My Glass, instead of being vulgar and saying kiss my, mm-hmm, uh, you know, I like being a little bit playful. I'm a bit like Blake Shelton on that. Instead of saying some son of a, it's some beach. So you kind of get my point there. So it's pretty much intentional on those playful si- playful side of things. Next question is, let's see, how long have I done this? About 25 minutes. You've released full albums independently. What's been the hardest part of doing everything without a major label? Ooh, that's a good question. Um, what's the hardest part of doing everything without a label? You have my thought about ownership, especially over my own songs. I'm doing things through myself. A lot of the publishing, it comes through um, an unknown publisher, which I own, which is Last Night Music. I do not own it yet. Um, I plan on buying the name for the publisher. Um, my major label, I cannot actually do anything with with DistroKid until I have the funds to do so. Um, even my in-home studio, which I've got that I'm working from right now, and doing that. What's been the hardest part of doing everything without a major label? Uh, it's just the lack of funds, not knowing how I'm going to be able to do things, which is why I use Suno to help me generate those songs. Yes, it comes up with the music. I'm coming up with the lyrics. ChatGPT does help somewhat with the lyrics. I'll be honest with that. So not everything is AI driven. The music is AI driven for sure. The lyrics are 100% mine though. ChatGPT just helps me flesh out my ideas and how to phrase things so that they're radio ready. What's also been the most rewarding part of being an independent artist? I'm probably going to end this live stream here within the next few minutes, but I don't know just yet. What's been the most rewarding part of being an independent artist? Exactly that, being independent. I don't have a major label to answer to. Um, that's kind of a catch-22. Being an independent artist, as an artist, you have to know the ins and outs of what you're wanting to do, of how to push your music out for others to hear. You have to make sure, is this something that I really listen to over over a long period of time? Or will these songs age well? Um, would would my music pick up new listeners? Um, to date, I've got about 126 viewers. I'm struggling to get up to the 500 viewers to take my channel to the next level. Um, so it's just a lot of hard work as an independent artist, and but I also relish the freedom that it gives me. On that note, some fans notice recurring themes: freedom, movement, surviving hard seasons, not giving up. Is that a reflection of your own life? Actually, it very much is. Before my dad passed away, he gave me a little bit of advice, and also what he meant by I didn't know what resilience was. Um, and he said, "You are the most resilient person I've ever met, Benny. You've you've come through the other side of dealing with manic depression, of bipolar disorder is what it is. Lately, it's been manifesting itself just through depression. I don't go on huge spending sprees like I used to. So the themes that come through with my songs of not giving up, persevering, just being a resilient person and coming through and pushing through. i- is that a reflection overall of who I am? Yes, I've pushed through a lot of things in my life, and this too will end up not defining me. It will help me get stronger and be more of the person that I want to be. I might have to get something to drink here, guys. So mm, I wish there was like a pause button where I could just pause and just come back. Um, but give me a few minutes. My baby girl. Drink of choice, root beer. I've always loved root beer and probably will always love root beer. Um, I know that's not a question. What's your drink of choice? Root beer. I got to be funny about it. It's also my Achilles heel. Root beer. If a listener is going through a rough time, what do you hope your music gives them? Hope. Um, in terms of listening to my music, I would hope that most listeners see a sense of humor. Um, un momento. Yes, I speak a little bit of Spanish. Muy poquito en español. Um, I don't speak Spanish on a daily basis. I was being silly there by doing that. So, really and truly, if a listener is going through a rough time, what do I hope my music gives them? A sense of hope, a sense of freedom, a sense of humor, hoping. Um, I should be doing this with my microphone here in place. Hold on, let me let me swing this around. Maybe this will sound a little bit better. I think my speakers pick up a little bit more than my actual mic here. At some point, I'm going to have to reconfigure my whole desk area from my computer, printer area, and everything so that I can orient things better, um, including this microphone, because right now it's pushing me over to where this camera can't really see me. Um, in fact, it's kind of why I was thinking of just switching over to this other camera. Give me a few minutes, guys. We're gonna fix this up. I think that's about right, and I can actually finally have this in my place. Do you write music mainly for yourself or with listeners in mind? Both, actually. It's not just for me in mind, it's actually for listeners too. Um, I'm probably not the only person who said this with about their music. Um, I I do it mainly for my listeners. Is this a song that I think my listeners would love? Uh, would is this Is this a song that my listeners would love? Is this a song I can see myself actually enjoying and wanting to listen to again and again? So, um, I mainly write for listeners in mind. Yeah, for sure. I know this is getting to be quite a long video here. I don't mind it. I'm kind of enjoying myself and hoping that my viewers for my channel end up seeing this video and saying, "Wow, he did an answering question video for a change." What usually comes first for you, lyrics, melody, or emotion? That's a good question. Sometimes the melody comes to mind first, and the lyrics come after, with the overall emotion following. Um, I wish I could stop doing that kind of a thing, the whole thing. But you know, sometimes it's lyrics come first, then the melody, and then the emotion. Sometimes the emotion comes first, then the lyrics, then the melody, and sometimes it's emotion, melody, and lyrics. Um, it's a really hard question to answer. It just depends on how the song presents itself to me. And I don't want to be like Willie Nelson and say it comes from some ether. Um, I think songs are things that get pulled out, uh, not by an external force, but it's brought out by a guiding hand, so to say. I don't want to say God because not everybody believes in God. Not everybody believes that Jesus Christ is Lord. So I don't want to be hugely offensive. Um, I'll be straight with my beliefs. I do believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Some people are going to find that offensive. I'm not trying to be offensive. But the truth of the matter is that love is love, and I'm not there here to judge anybody. So take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm very much in the vein of Jelly Roll. Faith plays a huge part in my life, and it keeps me centered. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me from doing the most stupid, brainless things. I'm out of that habit. Ever since, I might as well just go ahead and tell the story about how I lost my car on this note. It was a brainless thing. One of those things that just makes you say, I will never, ever do that again. But there is a pastor in my area who I was asking, um, I'm struggling financially right now, and what he should have told me was, son, what you need to do is get yourself a job. Um, that would have been the best advice he could have given me, but he chose to tell me, go get yourself a title loan. And I did that with my car. It got to a point where I couldn't keep paying that note on my car for to keep the title of my car. And it overwhelmed me to a point where it just wasn't pulling enough money to keep my car, and it got repossessed as a result. So I'm having to use public transportation. And at night, when that shuts down for a night during the week, I have to rely on my mom. It's not fair to her. I realize that. So I'm doing everything I can to try to save up my money, so I can get a new vehicle. Well, new to me. I missed my Mitsubishi. It got me from point A to point B, including going, getting to and from work. Um, and I will go back to this answering questions. This this will be my next question. I can probably answer 3 or 4 more questions. Um, so I wanted to go ahead and get that out there. Out of have I ever been arrested for anything? For bad checks and for speeding. And I'm not a bad seed. I'm not. I mainly stay out of trouble anymore. In fact, the last time that I was with a police officer, it was to do a ride with, to learn about what they do. Because at the time I was trying to write a country western uh, book, and I wanted to understand that mindset a little bit more. And come to find out, I understand that life a little bit better. So getting back to the questions here, you use modern tools like AI and digital platforms alongside traditional songwriting. How do you personally view that balance? Oh boy, is it a balance? Number one, um, it is such a balance. I know how people feel overall about AI, and folks like me who use AI to assist aren't real artists, aren't real songwriters. Uh, I get that viewpoint wholeheartedly. There has to be a level of humanness to what you're doing. Otherwise, it just comes across as mechanic and not very real. In fact, one comment on one of my songs recently was, how about more songs from this lady? And unfortunately, that was an AI generated uh, female voice on that track. Um, and I can, if I were to look it up, I can tell you exactly what song that is. That fact, I'm trying to remember.
You say you're running late, 5 minutes tops.
Not it. It's one of my shorts. Let me do this. Um, I can tell you better this way. You use modern tools like AI and digital platforms alongside traditional songwriting. How do you personally view that balance? It is a balance, nonetheless. View my channel, um, manage videos. This is where I'm wanting to go with this. Um, I'm not that girl is the song. It's a confident female country song. I could definitely play that. It's on my videos. So let me back out of that. Here we go. 119 views over 3 days. That's not shabby. So going ahead to play this.
If, if you
I hate that so much.
Yeah, yeah. I don't cry in the bathroom mirror. I don't text back, I miss you either. I don't chase boys in lifted trucks to fall in love. After too much. I don't fake it, don't play, don't laugh just to be someone. I got boots that I've seen worse nights, and I still walk out feeling just fine. You can try to guess my type, but baby, you ain't got it right. I'm not that girl that waits by the phone. I'm not that girl that needs you to feel whole. I like my freedom, I like my nerve, I like my drinks with a little curve. Yeah, I'll dance, I'll flirt a whirl, but I'm not that girl.
That's all strictly done with Suno. But the lyrics are 100% mine. Like I said, ChatGPT helps me flesh the ideas out. Um, I had the title and part of the chorus. ChatGPT helped me with the verses for it to get it to sound more of the backstory of why the lady who's singing the song can actually say she's not that type of girl who just runs after having a whirlwind romance. She just wants the kind of guy that wants to be there for her and hold her hand. That that's the kind of message I want to come across with stuff I write. Yes, I've got plenty of albums of women singing. Not my voice; they are women's voices using Suno. But it's to stretch myself, not just strictly doing songs for men. Um, some artists wait years between releases. You don't. Why is putting music out now important to you instead of waiting for perfect? Uh, you know, the I think I've released about in the span of last year to Christmas or thereabouts, about or around Christmas. The reason why I released about 13 albums in the span of a year rather than doing one album per every couple of years is because I had wasted so much of my younger years. Um, I do play guitar, I do sing. Um, if you go to YouTube, my very first album that I released with the help of DistroKid is actually my date is actually my real debut album. It's Unknown Territory. Um, it's just me with my guitar, just strictly me with my guitar. Um, this is how much I've made to date. Uh, I had already pulled out $98.01. So these are you're not going to see it. These are my current earnings, $1.20. After I had pulled out this $98 from that I received from DistroKid for my music. But this is all the music that I released last year. Christmas Back Home Again. Uh, these these were my three releases for Christmas Back Home Again. Angels in the Snow, Dear Old Santa, Santa Rode Through Texas Tonight. Uh, m- my favorite song from Christmas Back Home Again that I wrote is actually Dear Old Santa. Um, I'd have to listen to it again to tell you why, but just to show you my Blake Shelton kind of playfulness that I love is I do have a song, Geez Louise. It it is one of five tracks, five new tracks from Still a Good Time, Greatest Hits Deluxe. Um, the reason this was my absolute last album is because up until about Keep the Wild and I Don't Need It, Ain't No Taming Me. I had just been busy since May of this last year. It was a bit like playing catch up for all the years that I had. This is absolutely my very first album right here, Unknown Territory. I originally released it in 2006. Um, there's nothing special about this album whatsoever. It's just me and my guitar, all relative, uh, just, it doesn't sound good to me. At that time in 2006, it was the last time that I saw a friend of mine who had a recording studio in a mall, Recording Studios of America, owned by Harry Viator in Austin. Um, he had taught me how to do bar chords on guitar. He did a great job of showing me certain things. Um, I wish he had shown me how to produce a little bit more, because I think what we should have done when we were building this album, this very first album, was to not do everything all at once, but build an album track by track, because there is a decay over Unknown Territory. These 12 tracks, we did all 12 tracks within one day, and you can hear a noticeable decay. So if you go to Spotify and you look at that album, Unknown Territory, this very first one where I'm leaning up against a wall, um, you're going to hear that decay, and it just gets awful sounding. You Had Me at Hell No, She's Trouble, Kiss My Glass, More Than I Deserve. They're These are all songs from my second album, Benjamin Wiles, which I released this, yeah, early May 2025. So yeah, going over my own discography, you know, doing things the way I did. Eventually, I will go back to into DistroKid. I will completely look at how to upgrade my account, because right now I'm on this musician program, this very first tier, this musician plan, where it's just one artist. Because I have found out that on the current plan I've got, they say you can have as many releases as you want, but what they mean by unlimited releases is if you do it the right way, yeah, the releases are incredibly unlimited. But with the amount of work that I have, take a look at this volume of work that I've done over the past year. I mean, what I should have done was, it was one thing for me to re-release Unknown Territory, this very first album, and to have my second album, Benjamin Wiles, which I did do with Suno. I could have just done these, waited a year or two, um, and then started ramping things up. But I went ahead and let's count this off. Unknown Territory, my second album, Benjamin Wiles, A Man Like Me, Ain't Done Yet. This is this is just a little uh, deal. This is more of an EP, not an LP. When you say my name, so that doesn't count. Um, I did a whole bunch of reimagined tracks. Uh, so I did do some re-releases from my Unknown Territory album, You're Precious to Me, Maybe I'm Crazy, Bring Us Back to Life. These are complete reimaginings. Um, I stand behind this album a lot better. This would be my fifth album right here. When You Say My Name Deluxe, I wanted to have a deluxe album that was kind of a Nate Smith kind of a throwback to it. So that would make my sixth album here. Redline Woman, purely female-led vocals. That's my seventh. Uh, Eighth, She's Got Away, another female-led track album, Better than Leather. Nine. Uh, Backroad Rays is 12 tracks. That would have been my ninth. Ain't No Taming Me would have been 10th. I Don't Need It would have been my 11th. And I should have slowed it down because I was about to tap out with the amount of albums I could release in a year. Keep the Wild ended up being my 12th album. Still a Good Time, Greatest Hits Deluxe. This was ambitious to do. I had 24 songs from the past albums that I had done that I absolutely stand behind. These are the five singles that I released. These are completely new. Off of Still a Good Time, Greatest Hits Deluxe, Where the Memories Don't Go, Good Gravy Baby, One More Night to Fall, Angel in the Neon, Geez Louise. Um, and then, of course, my 14th. And I can't do any more albums right now until I have the money to upgrade. And I do things so much differently at this point when I do the Ultimate 89.99 bill annually, um, 5 to 100 artists. Because number one, this will hugely set me up to fixing things. I could go ahead and just do the Musician Plus. I'd get 677 back. Um, I know I'm tapping out really close to about uh, an hour now from doing this, but that's why I did so many albums all at once is because my dad had for years been begging me, Benny, please do something with your music. Ben, please do something with your music. You're a heck of a songwriter. You're a heck of a musician. You've got so many songs that and he's right. I did. I by the time a few years before my dad passed away, he passed away in 2021. I want to say about 2016. I would have had about 2,000 songs written from from the time that I started picking up the guitar and had learned the basic chords that I had learned. I had written from 1984 up to about 2016, about 2,000 songs of my own material. 2,000 songs over basically 30 years. Mind blown. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but Suno alone, from May this last year, this gets you obscene, and I've got to show this off. I'm not trying to. Uh, these are my five recent songs, and some of these have been released to YouTube. Um, these are just a fraction of what's been released uh, to to YouTube. But look at these numbers. My workspace, well, 1,181 songs. New country, 5 songs. Newer workspace, which newer workspace for um, predates new country here. This newer workspace is 14 songs. This is about an album right here. I know what I'm doing. I'm not that girl. Say it when you're ready. Meet me where you are, every little beat of this night, somewhere in my heart, if you mean it. Say it with your heart. Don't mistake my smile. Make it start right. Don't start me smiling. Boots in a row. Say it slower. Don't get it twisted. This would be my third uh, female vocal led vocal song album that I'd probably release. But this is all music that I've Suna has done the music. I have done the lyrics for it. So take into that consideration. This is 2025. I've been writing for 40 years, writing songs, writing lyrics to songs for 40 years, and I can still remember half of the songs that I wrote from when I was a kid, from when I was basically a teenager, all the way up into my early 50s now. I'm 52 now. No, I don't look 50. I know I don't look 52 at all. Um, but to have this many songs, um, I know you guys can't see me pointing at my screen, but where this cursor is right at the moment, my finger is right under the 1181, 1,181 songs. That's within this last year alone. So what happened to my 2,000 songs that wrote? A lot of the songs I wrote that I had saved were on a drive that is no longer in existence because it completely died. There was no way to recover the and thousands of songs that I have written. Um, Suno has a portion of, I want to say that I'm probably closer to about 1,500 songs written because, Lord of mercy. I got to think about that. Cut Me Down to Size EP. I may not be. This is the original. But look at this. These are all songs that I have written over, at this point, just around, I want to say less than 2 years. This is 17. I'd have to seriously go through and count all this up because some of these are compilation albums. And I'd probably come back through these and really look at things through, but it ended up being about 1,500 that I've got over that are saved from 2 years ago, from a previous computer that I had to this new computer that I've got. I'm not tossing this computer. That was my mistake with my last computer. It was still a perfectly good computer, even though it ran slow. I should have just saved my money, put aside the money I needed to fix that computer up. I did not need a new computer. I did not need a new computer. So why was putting music out now more important to me instead of waiting for perfect? Um, Basically, time ran out for my dad, and before my dad had passed away in 2021, like I said, he had died. about 5 years ago, 4 years ago to be exact. He died 2 days before Thanksgiving, 2021. My grandmother, my mom's mom, died about a couple months before my dad did. Same year, 2021. So 2021 really sucked for my mom. Losing her husband and losing her mom. We knew her mom was going to go. There was no doubt about that. I think she wanted more time with my dad. I don't know, but I made a promise to my dad that I would seriously work on the music. And my wife at that time, she did not, she did not want me doing anything with music. She wanted me just to focus on my songwriting, to focus on other things than being a musician or singing or putting any kind of music out. And putting that kind of limitation on somebody is a red flag. I do have a fiance. She's been wonderful to me. She about half the songs that she's seen me write, she's asked me. My own fiance, who lately has asked me, are most of your songs about me? Yeah, yeah, because she pulls something better out of me than my ex-wife ever could. My ex-wife pulled me down. She was putting, uh, she was stressing me out, not letting me rise to my potential. And it's amazing to me because 120, 124, 126 viewers cannot be wrong to be hitting uh, services like Apple Music, iTunes, iTunes Songs, iTunes Match, Pandora. Part, I think part of it's from Spotify, even though it says zero here. Um, Title, 51 from YouTube, $51 from YouTube, $24 from YouTube Red. I don't know what that Red is, but YouTube Audio, 1 cent, 25 cents. Amazon Prime, 25 cents. I got to show that to you. 25 cents, Amazon Prime. And a couple of other small services, TikTok, of course, um, Lyric Find, Facebook, 10 cents. All adds up to $99.20. You know, you guys are the reason I do this because, really not even you guys because I made a promise to my dad before he even died. I will do this, Dad. I will put forth music that even you would be proud of. So why didn't I wait between releases? Is because I was making up for lost time. What would you say to someone who thinks chasing music later in life isn't realistic anymore? Um, there's a parenthesis around this one. This one hits close to home. Fans ask this more than you'd think. Um, and I think ChatGPT knows. Uh, why else would why else would ChatGPT put brackets around this? This one hits close to home. Fans ask this more than you'd think. What would you say to someone who thinks chasing music later in life isn't realistic anymore? Kenny Rogers. Let's go there. I'm, I'm a, I'm a swivel my mic around. Let's look at Kenny Rogers. I don't think he was a young man when he started singing music. Um, Not a lot of people know who Kenny Rogers is. He died uh, 2020, about 6 years ago. So a lot of today's artists wouldn't remember who Kenny Rogers was. But he had done country, pop, soft rock. He was active from 1956 to 2017. Um, Shoot, that's a lot of years. But look at his discography. Love Lifted Me, Kenny Rogers, Daytime Friends, Every Time Two Fools Collide with Dottie West, Love or Take Something, The Gambler. Oh, I see. This is all his country stuff. This is all his country stuff. Um, I remember when The Gambler came out. I was 5 years old when The Gambler came out. Um, Everyone considered him the coward of the county. Um, it was a defining record for him. And what's funny is that Kenny Rogers originally was with Lord. What what was that? I gotta remember. I forget the group that he had been with early career. Um, He had moved from teenage rock and roll through psychedelic rock to become a country pop crossover artist of the 1970s and 80s. He had been with the New Christy Minstrels, and what's funny about this group that he was with, the New Christy Minstrels, is that later on, oh, wow. Uh, so it wasn't just Kenny Rogers, Gene Clark, Kim Carnes, Larry Ramos, and Barry McGuire that had been with the New Christy Minstrels. Uh, that's funny. I've got my own version of a Stephen Foster song, Susanna. But this album, uh, The Gambler, uh, it it influenced me a lot. Um, I knew who Dottie West was. I was five. Yeah, I would have known who she was. She Believes in Me, The Gambler. Um, there was an album in the early 80s that I loved a whole lot. Um, but I wish I could remember which album it was that really influenced me. Nope, not that one. I remember the cover. It reminded you the album that I remember seeing. What About Me? That's hilarious. It reminded me of Michael Jackson's Thriller album. Anyway, you know, I always thought he had been a young man when he was singing, but considering his date of birth and to when he started performing, he was born in 1938. He was performing as early as 1956. 1956 to 1938, he would have been a young man. He would have been a young man. He would have been 18. So, what do you say for somebody who's chasing music later in life when it doesn't seem realistic anymore? I'd say do it if music is what you want to do. It'd be like saying to Steve Carroll, "Oh, you want to go into acting and you're doing this? Best of luck to you." Look at Steve Carroll. I mean, he's one of the biggest paid actors out of Hollywood. So do what you love. Be passionate about what you do. What does success look like to you? Fame, money, connection, or something else entirely? Um, I can't say fame. Wow, this is turning into a long um, video here. What does success look like to me? Fame, money, connection, or something else entirely? For me, it is something else entirely. I don't have fame, I don't have money, and I don't have any connections. Not necessarily. If if things were to happen and things started really rolling into my direction, I would use what I know to do things a little bit differently, for sure. Um, if I could sit down with my fans and tell them one thing I'd hope they'd understand about me, what would it be? If you could sit down with your fans and tell them one big thing you hope they understand about you, what would it be? Persevere, persevere like hell. Um, Listen, guys, I said it once and I'll say it again. Do something with all your passion, because if you're not and you're just spinning your wheels, guess what? You're going to be like a Tonka truck, just spinning its wheels in mud. You're not going anywhere. You're just stuck. Don't be stuck. Don't do what I did. Um, Fight like hell for what you want, what you believe belongs to you. Um, my cat is hollering for me. She's telling me it's time for bed. Just fight like hell. Stay passionate. Do something with your life. Don't just sit there. Like I said, don't be like a truck stuck in mud, a Tonka truck. Like I said, put it. Um, what's next for my channel? More albums, visual storytelling, or something new entirely? That is a valid question because I've got another YouTube channel that I don't post anything to currently, but it was the original channel that I started posting to. Um, I was thinking partially once I had my fiance, um, taking a channel, rebranding it, and really showing everybody who my fiance is, because a lot of people they will take one look at her and be like, "What in the hell? When did she choose him?" Because she's a good-looking woman. She is a knockout. I'm not going to say who she is. She is very well known on social media, not on YouTube, although. I don't think she'd mind being on YouTube with me and going through things with me, especially going through questions like this. Um, in fact, in the future, it's not going to be led by ChatGPT asking questions. Listen to this, guys. I don't know if you guys can hear this. That is my cat going nuts. Stop it. You're not broken. What's next for your channel? More albums, visual storytelling, or something new entirely? Definitely more albums for my current channel that I've got the 126 viewers on. I want to do more stuff for you guys. Um, Definitely more visuals, definitely more storytelling. Um, I don't really want to take away from the music that I'm doing for this channel. Um, I don't know what I'm going to do with my other channel that is stalled completely. Um, when people listen to a Benjamin Lyle song 5 years from now, how do you hope it makes them feel? I would hope that people 5 years from now, looking back and listening to my music, they'd end up saying, he did exactly what he did. He was passionate about his music, even if it was a little bit AI driven. AI music is pretty much the new norm now. Oh wow, I can almost put a new album out uh, with my credits that I've got. That's wild. But I would want people to look back at the lyrics of songs that I've written, and say he believed in himself strong enough to put this music out, and this music makes me feel like if he can do it, I can do it too. I want people to be able to listen to my music and say, reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want to do a cover of one of your songs. Would you license me the rights to do that? How much are you wanting if I do a cover of this? You know, I'm going to be upfront about this. Do you want to do a cover of my song? Do a cover of my song. Ask me first, though. Uh, I don't want anybody just to come by and say, "Oh, well, he's just taking songs and he's just throwing them together." Uh, no, these are honestly my ideas that I do struggle a little bit. This one's going to be my last question here in a moment, but you know, I, I do I do work really hard on coming up with lyrics. After about 1,000 songs, you start repeating yourself. I've got a couple of songs that are the same. I got Let It Loose, a recent a recent. I got another She's Trouble song. That's not going to happen again. I'm trying to watch repeating myself, and that's what's starting to happen. You start repeating yourself, and you don't necessarily want to do that. I do have a single for I Don't Need It. My album, I Don't Need It. I Don't Need It. Heavens in Our Eyes, Truth Be Told, Move Like That. One, two, three, four. Yep. So, I just I just want to give people hope that that you can do what you want to do. That you don't have to feel constrained. Uh, I want people to realize that I want to do something that just makes people, that resonates with people, into saying he was passionate about what he was doing, and I want to be just as passionate about what I do. And I know I moved my mic out of the way. I don't think it's diminished the audio whatsoever. Um, why do I keep going even when growth feels slower and visible? It's the same thing with the job I've got working for HEB and curbside. It is painfully slow. Um, why do I keep going? Um, because I've got my dad in the back of my head saying, "Keep at it. Keep doing what you do, because you love people, because it's the right thing." My dad, my dad put his did an honest day's work for almost all his life that he was alive, and he benefited from it. I want to do the same. Like I said, I've got a fiance that she's going to end up with me, and we've discussed creating content, not just for Instagram, not just for TikTok, but for YouTube. Um, I know for a fact she doesn't sing, but would that stop her and I from creating content for YouTube? No, we've discussed it, and I know this is a rather long video. It's getting up there to about an hour, 30 minutes. Um, let's do this since we're here doing this live, and I'm telling ChatGPT, create a fan Q&A video script. Um, and this is what it's doing. Um, I'll probably do this later. It's like it knows what it knows what I want to say. So it's picked about 10 of these questions. Um, I'm just gonna I'm gonna skip this intro because we've done that before. Who is Benjamin Lyles and what kind of music do you make? I'm an independent country artist, songwriter, and creator. My music lives somewhere between country rock, pop, and sometimes even a little dance energy, EDM energy. I like songs that feel alive, songs that you can drive to, breathe to, or just feel like yourself again listening to. Are your songs based on real life? A lot of them are, yes. Some songs come straight from things I've lived through, like my divorce. I still have nightmares about her. Other stories are inspired by moments, emotions, or people I've crossed paths with. Well, funny story. I don't know how many of my viewers are going to remember who Leroy Parnell is, but you look him up, and on Wikipedia it will tell you that he has a cousin that he plays with. I've met his cousin. His cousin's name is Rob Roy Parnell. And you're going to see that name pop up if you go through some of those album liner notes that his cousin is definitely on some of those tracks with him. I've met his cousin. I've met Leroy Parnell's cousin, Rob Roy Parnell. Knock it off. You're just doing it because you're not being talked to. Even when it's storytelling, there's always something real behind it. I could write a song about meeting Rob Roy Parnell, and I'd probably make it funny, because it was funny how I met him. The specifics elude me, but it was definitely a restaurant. This was song this was the question I was just answering. Um, but I met Rob Roy. He was playing guitar at a restaurant, and he had a little bit of a Southwest feel to it when he was playing. So for Rob Roy Parnell to be playing at a Tex-Mex restaurant in Austin was kind of funny. Um, One of my songs often feel hopeful even when they talk about hard things. Because I've learned something in life. Pain isn't the end of the story. I've been through seasons where things felt heavy, uncertain, or broken, and music was one of the things that kept me standing. I want my songs to remind people that even when life's messy, you're still here, and that matters. And that goes back to what I was saying. I want to persevere. I want to push through whatever is blocking me at the moment. In fact, I'm about to have 2 days off after I work a basic 3 to 7 three. It's a 4 hour shift. I can only work part time. I do have a disability. Um, it's not physical, but I do have a disability, and I can only work part time. Um, but there's things I'm wanting to do and take care of. I've got a cat that you guys could hear howling. She's gonna need more food at some point. I got a phone bill I got to take care of. Um, just there's the small things I want to take care of before my fiance gets to me. Because once she gets to me, things are rapidly going to change for my days off. I won't be able to just do this whenever I want to. I won't be able to always focus on music. I'll have to focus on her, help her out, get set up, and she's gonna definitely notice how small this workspace is. I'm gonna have to end up finding a way how to make my desk bigger and just shove this musical keyboard under and only pull it out when I'm actually working on music. Things are gonna change rapidly, and this woman is the love of my life. You release a lot of music. Why? Because I believe music is meant to be shared, not locked away waiting on perfection. Life's happening right now. If a song can help somebody today, I don't want to wait 5 years to release it. I want it to speak volumes today. So, question 5 here: do you do this independently? Yes, it's 100% independent. I don't even have to read this. I write, release, and manage my music myself through platforms like DistroKid. It's not always easy, but it gives me freedom, and that freedom means I get to be honest in my music. That is hands down the truth. It's funny that ChatGPT thought of these questions and is helping me answer these questions too. But the honest to goodness truth is that why do I do this independently? I don't even have to look at this answer that's on my screen. And, I don't even have to look at my other screen either. I do have two screens, but yes, it's 100% independent. Why do I choose to be independent? Why don't I go with a major label? Why don't I distribute through a major label? Because l- take a look back at some of the other artists that major labels have dealt with, and those artists weren't given what they were worth. I don't want to be one of those artists that goes bankrupt just because a note's been called on by their record label or the dues weren't paid outright. I don't want to be in that position. I want to be in full ownership of my stuff. I want to be in full ownership of my catalog of music that I've put out so that when others is to see the body of work that I've come out with, that I've produced, that I've made, lyrics or music or both, and people say, "Hey, I want a license to this song. Is can I work with that? Can can I license this for a certain amount of money?" Yes, you can. Uh, there will be a small fee. It's not going to be. I'm not extravagant. Uh, you know, if you want access to a song, and let's say the song speaks to an artist who wants to cover the song, that's maybe worth 10,000 to them. Bring it. If you want to license a song from me and you feel like it's worth $10,000 to you, by all means. If you don't have that kind of money, and you say you see a song that has great potential, uh, can you license that? Can I let that song be licensed for $250? That's fine too. Money's money to me. I mean, it's not a means to an end for me, but it's income that I would put aside for a new vehicle. So that once my fiance is here, we have some form of a cushion there, that if we wanted to get a vehicle, or if we needed a rainy day fund for whatever, or just to be able to operate on. She knows I'm not made of money. She's been there through me with me for through thick and thin, and for her to stick around the way she has, she's already told me she wants to be my wife. Um, so do I do this independently? It's it's 100% independent. What song should new listeners start with? That's tough because different songs hit different people. If you're looking for something upbeat, something that makes you feel good, or something that reminds you life's still moving forward, you'd probably find a few here that speak to you. Um, and this goes back to you want a song like that. Um, Ain't got no time for that. Spin me like that. Let's make this bounce. Um, those those would be my top three right now. Um, Now, and those are short videos. Now, if you want straight videos that I've that I've that are listed here, let it roll. Meet me where you are. If you mean it, whatever speaks to you. They're right there on my channel, on my YouTube channel that I'm posting this to. Um, what inspires my songwriting? Real life conversations, sometimes late night thoughts. I can't say long drives. That's not true. I got to think about that one. It says long drives here, but the truth of the matter is that what inspires my songwriting? there there's a Bee Gees song, Jive Talking, and it's got a bit of a road feel. It's like chugga 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 chugga. And Barry Gibb Barry Gibbs wrote it primarily because he wanted to have that driving feel for the song, and it worked, even though it was a disco song. That feeling when you're trying to figure things out, but still choosing to move forward anyway. Uh, so, what inspires my songwriting? Life. Um, what inspires my songwriting? My fiance, the amazing love that she gives to me. the love that I get from my mom and my sister. I can hear my dad right now if he was still around. He'd be telling me, Benny, I'm so proud of you for the amount of music that you have put out in 1 year. The sheer amount of music that you put out and what you have released sounds good. Sometimes I'll even test my music out on my mom and my sister because I've got Suno on my phone, and they'll tell me that's good, that's not so good. Don't please don't release that one. And I'm being very nice when I say that. My mom is my biggest advocate when it comes to my music. Sometimes my sister will say, "You wrote that? Wow, that's really good." Um, what do you hope listeners feel when they hear your music? Um, I don't want listeners to think that they're not going through life alone. I'm not going to paraphrase what's here. Um, what do I hope listeners feel when they hear my music? What I hope listeners come away from listening to my music is that they hear my music and they say, "Wow, he has great thoughts on uh, life, love. He's got a sense of humor. Um, he's got a bit of a personality on him. I'm not flat. Some people have called me boring because sometimes I can't hold a conversation well. Sometimes I can't. What does success mean to me? Honestly, it's not just numbers. It's not just numbers to me. Success is knowing someone out there hit play on one of my songs and felt something real. Here's the cold hard truth. I can pull up my Spotify right now and come right over here. I mean, I've saved all my music. Um, I can show you guys, but I've got. I can't exactly show you. I have to. This is every single song that I've saved from my own Spotify channel. Well, let's go over here. So, you know, until I can get to that last tier, musician ultimate, I do not have access to um, actual status, the actual stats for my songs. I could go over to Nate Smith and you'd see stats on his stuff, but this I can do it. This song,
I've chased down dreams on worn out tires. Put my faith in smoke and barbed wire. Seen the best laid plans blow away like dust, but the harder roads are the ones you trust. Built some fences just to tear them down. Loved and lost in this old town. Laid my heart in hands that turn to rust, but the harder roads are the ones you trust. It ain't the easy miles that make a man. It's the broken dreams and the busted plans. Every wrong turn, every scarred up trust, it's the harder roads that carry us.
so yeah, I'd like to be able to, and yes, I do have Taylor Swift on here as well, but you know, I, I'd like to be able to. Oh, that's my playlist. That's not Nate Smith's. I do plan on listening to this Madison Beer. Um, Locket album. But look at this. Look at these numbers, man. Nate Smith, he's got 5 million some odd monthly listeners, and these are some of his highest tracks. Whiskey on You being the most favorite here with 326 million. World on Fire, 239 million. I Like It with Nate Smith, 100, almost 125 million. And Bulletproof, 100, just a little bit less than 121 million. Says I've liked it, 16 songs. Um, y'all, to be honest, I would love here soon to be able to just have a month where I'm working at my job to where I can just upgrade my DistroKid so I can have access to being able to see how many listens my songs have reached. Because right now, all I can see is that I've got 32 monthly listeners, and really, this is just me doing word of mouth on my own. Just me, my own word of mouth, plugging to both X and Facebook. LinkedIn only does so much. It doesn't discourage me. It just makes me want to work that much harder for what I want to do. So, last question. What's next for this channel? More music, more stories, more growth. Uh, Continuing to build something real, one song at a time. That's the truth. We're pretty much nearing close to about 2 hours here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start ending it. If you like this Q&A from me with ChatGPT's help of questions that we've gone through, I don't mind doing this again. I'd rather have y'all's thoughts, y'all's questions, not just questions from ChatGPT that I'm answering. So if you made it this far, thank you. Truly, if you like this content, subscribe, like, and let other people know about my channel. Point them to my music if my music really speaks to you. Um, I want to thank you truly. If you like what you hear, like I said, hit subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what kind of music you want to hear next. I want to hear what you guys think. Seriously, even if it's I want a fun kind of heartbreak song that's not only danceable, but spin it in such a way, put a twist to it that makes me want to laugh or make me think for a moment. Never heard a song like this before, or have a Blake Shelton tongue in cheek kind of a song like Honeybee or um, a different version of a Nate Smith song. I've got my own version of a Nate Smith song that I have put out that's somewhere on my channel. Take a listen to it. If, if you like it, I'll see if I can't get Cena to help me get it produced. And I think I probably have. I don't remember. I'm grateful to every listener, every share, every person who chooses to be here on my channel. Um, I'll see you guys in the next video. Just come up with your thoughts, come up with your questions. I don't mind replying and answering those questions. So, guys, have a lovely Tuesday night, and thank you for having